Hey there everyone, it's Darby with Riverbend Fishing. Welcome back to episode 2, Rods and Reels. As I explained in the intro to this channel, I fish. I don't have any specific kind of fishing. I don't really prefer one kind over another. I guess if somebody put a gun to my head, I would say my favorite is bass fishing. I just don't live in the area where that is the predominant style of fishing here. It's definitely saltwater here. And I love saltwater fishing. Part of it I love more than bass fishing because you just never know what you're going to get. If you go to a pond in central Iowa, you know that in that particular pond, because you fish there before, there may be brown, there may be bass, there may be catfish, and that's all there is. Maybe some shiners, whatever. You know, not exactly, but you'll know what's in each body of water. You go to the Kentucky River year after year after year, you know what's in the Kentucky River. You know what you're likely to catch. You know your target species. When you go saltwater fishing, you have no idea. You have no idea. I've caught some stuff saltwater fishing that we had to get out of book. I caught a fish off of Africa when I was in the Navy. I caught a fish off the fantail of the ship in Africa that we had to get a book to try to even figure out what the fish was, if it was even edible or not. I love saltwater fishing too. I just love to fish. But because I do so many different styles of fishing, I'm not one of those people that has one or two fishing rods. I used to be. Especially when I was on active duty, I would buy a rod and reel where I was at and use it, and then quite often give it to somebody when I left. Because you just don't have room to carry that stuff when you're on active duty. When I was in Norfolk or places like that where my wife and kids were at, I had a home. So I could keep my fishing rods and reels. So, I have dozens of rods and reels. It's not because I'm rich, it's not because I'm showing off. I just do a lot of fishing. And I do a lot of different kinds of fishing. It could be worse. My best friend Sid and my wife sometimes say I have a sickness with all the rods and reels I buy. And it probably is. I would probably say I have more than I need. I don't have all that I'm going to buy. I know I'll buy more. I'm not going to lie to anybody about it. But it could be a lot worse if I kept buying bait casters. Now, in this video we're going to talk about my rods, my reels, what I use, my philosophy on rods and reels, and it's what works for me. I have bait casters. I have bait casters I've given away. I can use a bait caster. I'm going to get a bird's nest every once in a while, just like anybody else. If you aren't getting bird's nest, you're not using a bait caster. That's not why I don't like them. It's one of the reasons I don't like them, but you can get wind knots in a spinning reel, or they all have their drawbacks. I don't care for, first of all, I have to buy left-handed bait casters because I reel left-handed. I'm right-handed. But I grew up using spinning reels and push buttons, and almost all of them are ambidextrous, but I grew up, I cast with my right hand and reel with my left. So I have to find some place that has left-handed bait casters. Because I don't do that hand switching thing, with the exception of, this is where it's going to sound really stupid, my favorite reels. My favorite reels, I cast right-handed and then reel right-handed. It's just the way they're built, and they can't be changed. So, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to break this up real quick. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail. I'm just going to show you some of the stuff I use, because it'll become important as the channel moves along. I'm not one of those guys that's going to be doing a bunch of videos, you know, with these challenges and going and buying gear and stuff. That's not what I do. There's nothing wrong with it. I enjoy watching those. I fish. I don't shop. This is not a shopping channel. I fish. And if I get something new, I'll tell you guys about it, because I'll probably be proud of it, or I'll be like, hey, I'm trying this out, or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to reset the camera. The rods and reels, I'm in an outside room, and sometimes you'll notice when I shoot more videos in here that the table gets real wet right here. That is from sweat. The high temperature day is supposed to be 101, I think. There is no insulation in this room. There's no AC. There's a fan about that big and a window over there. And I keep it that way because it hardly makes any noise. I don't think the camera picks it up. But it is really hot in this room. So I'm trying to get this video done in the morning before it gets super hot. It's probably already in low 90s in here. So if you see dark spots, that's what it is. But I'm not going to readjust the camera because when I aim it down, you'll see those worse. It's just a Derby thing. So I'll be right back with you with the first set of rods. Okay, I'm going to put a picture in again. I don't know if I already put it in one video. I think I already put it in one video. Oh, I put it in one for my tackle bag. I'll put it in here again right now. Okay, that is what the back seat of my truck looks like all the time, except it was actually missing a rod that's always in there. And like I said, I'm going to go pretty quick here. I'm going to try to keep this short. There's 2 rods that I carry in my truck all the time. It doesn't matter because I have a tendency to see water, be out driving somewhere and see water and stop and fish it. Especially if it's someplace I haven't seen before or I haven't noticed before or something catches my attention, I'll be like, oh, there, and I'll turn around and go back. And for those of you that don't know, I wear a uniform and a gun for a living. That's what I do Monday through Friday. So sometimes people down here will see a guy in a full gun belt, large calibers, or not large caliber, large capacity semi with a little green fishing rod or his little brown fishing rod out fishing a pond. And they'll honk and wave. It's funny. Anyway, these are the 2 rods and reels that I carry. These are the 2 rods, and this reel is what's in there all the time, and I'll explain that in a second. That's going to be the longest part of this video, is explaining this. I have to put on my glasses because I cannot read the stuff on the rods and reels anymore. And like I said, I'm not getting real specific, and I'm not recommending any of this. I'm just telling you what I use, and some of it I'll tell you why I use it. This here is a Lose, the Speed Stick Laser TXS Speed Stick. I know I got it from Academy. It's just an open face. I love it. It's the only Lose that I own. I have nothing against Lose. I like it fine. I love this fishing rod and reel. It was cheap. I'm sure it wasn't 50 bucks or whatever. I couldn't tell you the truth. It wasn't expensive because I remember if it was. But this is a great little short rod that I can carry in the back of my truck. I'm trying to see the length. 6'6". It's a 6'6", medium, fast action. I put 15-pound braid on it, and I have a 20-pound fluoro leader on it. So that is one of them that's in there. Now here's going to be the longest part of this video. This is really a no-name rod. It just says professional long cast in quotations. And it says 3/8 inch to 5/8 inch, 8 to 20 pound, and there's no other writing left on this rod. The reason for that being, and it's shorter than this one. This is a 6'6". This one here is like a 5'6". I'm going to say, yeah, this one's like a 5'6" inch rod right here. It's a foot shorter than that one. When bait casters first became a big thing back in the late 80s, when all the Bass Pro were switching over to it, I was doing a ton of bass fishing up along the East Coast, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, West Virginia, that area up there. I was working on trying to get my Bassmasters points. Me and my wife went to the Navy Exchange because I bought a bunch of these rods and reels, and all of them back in the day came from the Navy Exchange. I went to the Navy Exchange and we bought a match set of these. And like I tell you, I can't tell you what brand they are, but it was a match set of these, and they had bait casters on them. And they were absolute garbage. They were absolute garbage. Those reels were just horrible. I got much better ones, and I wound up giving, I had other people that were better with a bait caster back then than I am. There's people better now with bait caster than I am, but back then with bait caster that I am, and they hated them. They was like, these reels are crap, get rid of them. I was like, okay. A friend of mine's dad loved bait casters, lives on a big lake up, well, he's died now, but he lived up on a big lake and had a bass boat up there in Tennessee, northeast Tennessee. I gave him the 2 reels. He liked them, but I noticed one time when I went back, they were not on any of his rods, so he didn't like them either. He just didn't say anything. Now, to tell you that part, I got rid of those reels, but I kept the rods. And I just had these 2 rods, as a match set them. Just had these 2 rods sitting around for years and years and years. We're talking, that was the late 80s. When I was stationed in Orlando, Florida, I went to Navy Exchange, I bought a rod and reel combo, and this was the reel that was on it. This is the Shimano FX2. It was actually an FX1, and I have an FX1 back here. I got one with the Shimano FX1 and fished and fished and fished. Caught an 8.5 pound bass with this. Not this one. I'm going to get. I'll tell you why in a second. 8.5 pound bass with this. Loved this reel. Eventually that rod broke. Put it on another rod. Not too terribly long ago, I was getting gear out and came across these again because I'd stopped using it. It was getting to the point where I thought it was getting fragile, if that's the right word for a fishing reel. I knew it was really old and it was really cheap. The rod and reel combo was under 20 bucks. It was a Navy Exchange back then. And it already outlasted 2 rods. So I was getting everything together and I was cleaning and lubricating and repairing reels, and I said, well, I'm going to do this one too. Did it all up. The thing was still running as smooth as glass. So I remembered I had these rods. So I went and got them and I put one on it. Took it out to a canal, was fishing, caught 2 little bass on it. I was like, this thing's still as good as the day it was new. And I was like, I really don't want to break it, but what's my opinion is, what's the point of having it if you're not going to use it? It's not like it's worth anything. Because I'm old, I didn't think of it until later. I was sitting there and I thought, I ought to go on eBay and see if there's any more of them. So me, and eventually my friend Sid, he got on there and was helping me look too. I went on eBay and every single one of these, the Shimano FX1s and FX2s with a fighting drag system, every single one of them that we could find anywhere on the internet, I bought. Or put in a bid on. Last time I checked, there were still 2, maybe 3 of them out there, but they wouldn't accept the highest price that I was going to pay for one, so they can keep them. I now have enough of these for me, my kids, grandkids when we have them. I'm never going to run out of these reels. One of them didn't work when it got here, and I've got it working since then. I have a box of them, and I have rod after rod. I have, oh my goodness. Here's one set up on a Berkeley rod, and I love this combo. I really do love this combo. Here's another one. I have a match set of those set up on the Berkeley rods. I'm not going to drag them all out. Needless to say, I have half a dozen or so of them set up right now, and I have more in a box for when something finally happens to these. I can just switch out reels. I would not recommend these to anybody because you're probably not going to like them. They are cheap plastic reels. They just work. I don't care about the price of something. I don't care if it's really expensive. I don't care if it's really cheap. These things work. They're workhorses. So I carry this in there with that. And you will pretty much always, when I'm doing freshwater only, you will pretty much always, when you see a video with me on a canal, a lake, a pond, anything like that, you're going to see me casting one of these. The reason there wasn't one in the picture is because I've been using one for a week or 2, then I come in, take it off, get the next one spooled up, put it on, take it. I'm just testing them, making sure they're all good. So anyway, these are the 2 that I carry in my truck all the time. It doesn't matter where I'm going fishing, these are in the back seat. Now, I'll show you the next category of rods and reels. Okay, the next one I have, and I've only got a couple of them, I'm just going to put one up here, it's actually the one I use all the time, is ultralight, and it's ultralight for freshwater. little ponds and tanks. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with the term, because I wasn't when I moved here, in Texas, a tank is a man-made pond that somebody has stocked. They're usually a half acre, 1 acre, 2 acres, 3 acres. And they have made the pond, lined it, and stocked it. I use this a lot on tanks and sometimes on creeks. If I go farther north, up towards Yoakum, Victoria area up there, I use this a lot. Matter of fact, it's that and the two that are in the truck all the time. This is just a Quantum XR. I really like this reel, and you're going to start to notice a trend here. With very few exceptions, I don't spend much money on my gear. This is a Quantum XR, and the original rod that it was on, I broke on a bass. And Sid, once again, his name comes up again. He actually went in because I got so mad, I threw my rod in the pond, in the tank. And the next day, Sid went out there in those reeds and snakes and got my reel back for me. So I took it home, cleaned it up, and then I just went and bought a Fluger ultralight rod and put it on there, and it's been on there for years now. It's fine. Great little rod and reel. Didn't really cost anything. The rod probably cost as much as the reel, to tell you the truth. It's just a Quantum. But I do love ultralight fishing. You know, like creek fishing, little panfish, that kind of stuff. I love it. Anyway, I do a lot of ultralight fishing. Okay, next, pier fishing. I do pier fishing. I'm going to start doing more of it. I like to pier fish. I really do. And as the opening video or the introduction video shows, we have the longest fishing pier in the state of Texas. It's a great place down by Pirates Landing. These are the two rods and reels that I use for that. This is a Penn Pierce 3, and I have it on a Power Plus. The Trophy Class Power Plus rod from Bass Pro Shop. I haven't found anything yet that's broke it, and I've caught some big stuff on this. And when I say I don't spend a lot of money on my gear, the one exception that I have to that is my Penn reels. I personally, just me, believe nobody makes a better reel than Penn, especially when you go to open face. Shimano has some really nice ones. And Shimano, I think, may be just a little bit smoother than the Penns. The Penns, in my opinion, are stronger. And it's just my opinion, my experience. And I have a Shimano. Oh, it's over there. I have a very nice Shimano over there. And it's over there. That should tell you, I don't take it. I don't dislike it. It's a good rod reel. It's just, I'm a Penn guy. So I have this one. I have another one exactly like it. And then I started using these because of YouTube. I saw people reviewing them, and 100% of the reviewers loved it, and they compared it to this. It was like, you can buy this, it's every bit as good as the Penn Pierce series, and it is from Bass Pro Shops, or Cabela, well, the same thing, and it's the Frigate series, like the Navy warship frigates, or Admiral Frigate, however you want to do it. I've got a couple of these now, and my daughter goes pier fishing with me sometimes, the one that lives in San Antonio now, and she has a couple of them. They're over there. She has a pair of them right there. You could tell hers whenever there's a fishing video, because the wrap that goes on tennis rackets handles, hers are wrapped in pink wrap. That's what she wanted on hers. So there's ones over with pink wraps on them. Anyway, these are darn good rods and reels. I've yet to break one of these. Not quite as smooth as the Penn on the reel. When you could definitely cast these out with the same weight, the same distance, be blindfolded, pick one up and go, okay, and then go up. That's the reel. That's the Penn, or up. That's the Frigate. There is a difference on how smooth they are, but very dependable, very good rod and reel. Half the price, maybe less than half the price. Good substitute. If you don't have the money to go out and buy this, get this. You will not go wrong with that. I'm not recommending it. I'm just letting you know. My experience, for less money, you can have something that's almost as dependable and as good as this. All right, next one. Okay, the next set is my pier fishing. I don't know what I was thinking. I think because I saw these out of the corner of my eye and I just said pier. The other ones were my surf fishing. These are my pier fishing. I was behind the curve on these, which is weird since I'm a pin guy. I love pin. My roof is creaking. I love pin reels. And I was behind the curve on these. I didn't really, not even really, I did not know about them. I just didn't see them. And then when I noticed them, all of a sudden I saw them everywhere. These are by Penn, and they're called the Wraths, W-R-A-T-H. I buy them as combo, 4000 series combos for pier fishing. Both of these are 4000 series. And yes, I have bass lures on them right now because I was, well, we're not going to explain what was going on with that, but I was bass fishing with these. Anyway, I put 30 pound braid on them. I have 40-pound fluoro leaders on them right here. And these are what I use for pier fishing. They're great. I've yet to break one. I'm not saying they won't break. They're still as smooth as the day I got them. But when we're talking about how smooth how smooth a reel is, we need to be honest for a second about that. The reason I can get away with the cheaper things like this, these are not expensive. These are not expensive. I bought both of these. I bet you they were under $100 for both of them, rods and reels. The Penn rods and Penn reels, Penn Wrath reels. I know if it was over $100, it wasn't over $110 for both of them. The reason I can say it's still baby smooth like the day I bought it and so on and so forth, I take care of my reels. I don't care if it's a $200 reel, a $400 reel, or an $18 reel. I take care of my reels. I quite often will be sitting watching TV and get up, come out to this room, grab one or two rods and reels, take them back in the house, sit down at the coffee table, strip the reel apart, and I keep all the stuff right there on the couch. Anyway, strip the reel apart, clean it, lubricate it, put it back together, test it out, restring it if it needs to be restrung, and do all that while I'm watching TV. My reels get cleaned and serviced multiple times a year because I do it while I'm watching TV, or I do it while I'm talking with my wife, or whatever it is. So if you're going to buy one of these and take it out and use it in the salt water for a weekend and then not use it again for 6 months and not clean it, I don't know what it's going to be like. Just being honest. It may be perfect, or it may not work at all. I don't know, because this is not the same quality as my other pens. I can tell you that. I can tell the difference between reeling this and reeling those. But it's just been great, and for the price, good night. I mean, I think they're like $50 for the combo. Academy. Yeah, I got them at Academy. 4000 series reels, Penn reels, on matching rods, and everything I've caught off the pier, it's handled with ease. So, like I said, I don't recommend anything. I'm just telling everybody my experience. So, there's those. We'll get on to the next category, and then I'm just going to do a generic category at the end, and then we'll be done. Just give me just a minute here. Okay, I'm not going to get them both up here because they're like 9 foot long. The next category is my catfishing rods and reels. Once again, Quantum. These are the Bill Dance catfishing rods and reels. Bass Pro. Fairly certain I got these at Bass Pro, and I don't think it was $100 for both of them. Again, I think these things are like $40 a piece. You can look it up online. I think they're like $40 a piece. It's just a Quantum rod and reel, and it's made for catfishing. Yeah, it's the Catfish Edition. I don't have giant catfish here. Now, let me say this the right way. Where I go catfishing, most of my catfish are, yay big. We have giant catfish in Texas, and there's some big catfish around. We have monster alligator gar. We have big carp. I personally have not caught anything catfish-wise that would justify this rod and reel. Having said that, I plan to, because I'm going to start traveling to do these videos. I plan on going to some places with some very serious catfish. Um, and I'm probably going to use, well, not probably, I'm going to use these for alligator gar fishing. I don't need them for carp. I got other rods for carp. But once again, I don't go out and spend a ton of money on my stuff, the majority of my stuff. I have a lot of stuff, but I don't have a lot of really expensive stuff. Okay, one more group, and then it's actually one of my favorite groups. But one more group, and then we'll end this video. Okay, the last group. Last group is one of my favorite reels, and I have a bunch of them. And I'm not afraid to say it, I've got a bunch of them. All the way from, there it is. I love Zebco fishing reels. And I get so tired of people on YouTube calling it a kid's reel. Yes, Zebco makes a bunch of little crappy throwaway kids reels. I'm going to make a statement that I think is true. There's no proof. I don't think anybody can prove me wrong or right. I'm going to say it's a safe bet to say more fish have been caught in America on a Zebco than anything else. The reason I say that is because Zebco sells millions of reels a year. Millions. Which means millions of people fishing with them. Anyway, the normal Zebcos, the cheap ones, they're cheap for a reason. They're just made for kids to use and abuse. And I've almost lied to you. I get my kids out of the Zebcos as quick as possible and get them into spinning reels because I want them to learn that skill. And I obviously think an open-face spinning reel is better than a Zebco. It's my go-to rod and reel when I'm seriously fishing. These Shimano's, the FXs I was talking about, those are my fun reels. I love to fish with those. Those are fun. If I was entering a tournament for money or bragging rights, unless I'm dogging somebody that's got a really expensive, we won't even get into that. I'm going to use my open-face spinning reels. But when you start talking about Zebco, when you get to like this here, the Zebco 33 Platinum, that is a serious fishing reel. Okay, it's not expensive, but that is a serious fishing reel. And I'm going to make this statement, and I want to see how many people go, you are on crack, Darby. You take your finest bait caster. It can be the most expensive Shimano on the market. You take your finest bait caster and rod, and I will take this rod and reel right here, and this is just a Tourney Spec Special from Bass Pro Shop. I will take this and go fish for fish with you. I'll have to turn my handle more than you do, but I will go fish for fish with you. The fish at the other end of this line has no idea what reel it came out of. And I would not go with anything, I don't know a good term for it, I wouldn't go with anything worse than or lower than the Platinum 300s or 33s, the Platinum 33s. Because then you really are getting into some cheaper made stuff, which most of it's still better than those Shimano FXs that I love, but you're getting into some cheaper made stuff. And please remember, when I'm talking about reels, it's not just how they look, how they feel, how they retrieve. I take mine apart all the time. We just talked about that. So I know what's inside of them. And when I say you're getting into some cheaper stuff, on some Shimano, on some Zebco reels, you're getting into some cheap materials inside. But if you go with the Platinum 33 Platinum or above, pretty decent components. Pretty decent components. You will be served well, especially if you take care of it. Now, of course, they come out with a monster, and I have one. I just have the one. And we're going to talk about that real quick before I let you go. Statistic-wise, it'll go head-to-head with any bait caster on the market. Just look it up yourself. It's not even up for debate. Statistic-wise, this Zebco reel will go stat for stat with any bait caster on the market. And that's the Zebco Bullet. It's pretty cool looking, isn't it? All metal, aircraft aluminum. It is a beast. It is so fast. It will retrieve as fast as a bait caster. It will cast as far or farther than your bait casters. It is just a beautiful monster. You can do left or right hand retrieve. The only negative to it, and they haven't fixed it yet, they've already come out with a new one that's lighter. They've replaced some of the components and made it lighter. The only negative to these that I've seen anybody report as far as mechanical wise is this button. It's under this rubber, it's plastic, and you can break the tab off, and then you have to order a new button from Zepco to put underneath here. I took this apart when I first got to look at it, and yeah, I don't know why Zepco hadn't made an aluminum one to go in there, because then they're going to have, oh Lord. Downside to it, you compare this to a bait cast. I'm not going to get up there over there. You compare this to a bait caster, about this much longer and about that much taller. It is not quite twice as big as most bait casters, and it's fairly heavy. I'm not gonna say it's heavy. It's heavier than a bait caster, but I don't know if it's heavier than a bait caster or feels heavier than a bait caster because it's so high up, so it has a tilt to it. Plus, I have it on a pretty sincere rod here. Oh, this, I keep saying it's my last thing. For those of you that don't know, and I'm sure most of you do, one of the best rods made, period. I don't care what anybody says. One of the best rods made are the Shakespeare Ugly Sticks. They are tanks. They are as tough gets. I remember when they very first came out, and you were not. People were saying, you're not a serious fisherman if you ain't gone out and bought an Ugly Stick. Nowadays you can buy them at Kmart. Or Walmart. I'm sorry, Kmart's gone. Tells you how old I am. Nowadays you can buy them at Walmart. But anyway, I have this on a 6'6", medium heavy. So, you know, it takes up to 25-pound line on this. This is a fairly heavy rod and reel combo, but I built this because there's a couple of places I fish here, especially some canals, that have thick vegetation and grass. So I need to be able to punch down through, and then really, when I set the hook and bring the fish in, I need something that's got some juice to it. But these things are so smooth and quiet. I mean, that's just. Anyway, that's my last category I'm going to go over is the Zepcos. Please don't sleep on them. If you're wanting to get into fishing and you're not quite sure about it, I'm telling you, I don't recommend any of this. I'm not sponsored by anybody. If I was going to, let me rephrase this. If I was going to get into fishing today and didn't know anything about it, went on YouTube and watched videos like this one, there's two that I would buy. I'd buy a setup like this, the Zepco 33 Platinum, and I would buy the frigate setup from Bass Pro. Or no, I take it back now, just think about it. I'd go to Academy or whoever has it and get the Wrath, 3 or 4000 series Wrath from Penn. If you have those two, you can fish anywhere. You can fish saltwater, freshwater. You can fish freshwater, small water. To do this sport, you don't need all this crap that I have. And this is just, what I've showed you today is just a small section. I am surrounded by fishing rods and reels. I could take this one and hit rods and reels all the way over here, and the same thing over here. All the way around, I'm hitting rods and reels, as far as I can reach. You don't need them. I have a sickness. But what I do is fish. So if I spend my money on fishing rods and reels, it's like people that play video games. They spend their money on PlayStations and games and videos and computers. I spend my money on rods and reels and baits and tackles. So, until next time, see you out at the water. Did I really just say that? These are not my pier, these are surf fishing. I can't believe I just did that. The two I just showed you are for surf fishing, not pier fishing. I know because I'm getting ready to turn around and grab the pier fishing ones.